So yesterday, Gary Bettman officially announced that the NHL is banning specialty warm-up jerseys. That means that we'll no longer be able to see the players wear the warm-up jerseys for like the Hockey Fight Cancer nights, the St. Patrick Day nights, Heritage nights, Pride nights, Military Appreciation nights. All of those will no longer be worn by the players. Now, this doesn't mean that the NHL is getting rid of these specialty nights altogether. In fact, they will still be doing them, and apparently the jerseys will still be made. It's just the players on the ice will not be wearing them during warm-up. That's the only change, at least from what I heard. Now, for myself personally, as a jersey collector, I'm not really too excited about this. I'm fairly disappointed. This isn't really the direction that I wanted them to go in with these specialty jerseys, and I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the video. Before we do jump into it, if you guys are new to the channel and you like hockey jersey content, please make sure to subscribe. I really would appreciate it. But yeah, with that announcement yesterday, it was pretty clear on why the NHL doesn't want the players to wear those warm-up jerseys anymore. Gary Bettman himself said it was because they became a distraction, which basically means it was those Pride Night jerseys. I mean, that was the big talking point during the regular season. It was a huge controversy of players not wearing it, teams canceling, all of that type of stuff. It's disappointing that getting rid of all of the specialty jerseys is their way of addressing it. And look, there's a lot of things that I could discuss about those Pride Night jerseys, but to be completely honest, at a certain point, it does kind of get political, and that's not really what I want this video to be about. All I'll say here is that if you are a member of the LGBTQ+ community, you are welcome here. I support you, and if I see anything bigoted towards them in the comments down below, you are gone. I'm going to ban you. I do not want that on my channel. But yeah, it's pretty disappointing that the players will no longer be able to wear these specialty warm-up jerseys. Now, of course, like I mentioned, they will still be making these specialty jerseys. At least that's how Gary Bettman made it sound like in his interview with Elliot Friedman there. It sounded like they will still actually make the jerseys themselves, and they will still probably auction them off, at least in some way, which is interesting, and I have some thoughts on it. My first thought is, okay, if I want to think about this in a positive way, how many people are really going to notice that the specialty jerseys are gone? Because think to yourself, when it is that specialty night, when you see that specialty jersey, how did you guys see it? Was it on TV? Probably not. At least in my experience, that's not the case. The main reason that I usually find out about the nights and the cool jerseys and everything like that is because of who I follow on social media. Now, obviously, social media is a massive thing, but I think with the more casual audience, they don't really follow too many people around the NHL and everything like that. So I don't know how, many people are really seeing those specialty jerseys. And let's just say that I missed everything on social media that day, but I still watched a specialty night game. The only time that I really would see those specialty jerseys is if I tuned in before the game actually started. I might see a little bit of those warm-up jerseys then, or during the game they sometimes mention it, but it's usually only for like 10 seconds or so during like a whistle or a commercial break, like right after coming back from a commercial break. It's really not very long. They don't really talk about it too much. So honestly, during the broadcast itself, you basically never notice those warm-up jerseys. They never really talk about them. So at least for myself, I never really found those warm-up jerseys to be a huge part, at least of the TV side of the broadcast. I assume in person it would be a lot different because you actually get to see those warm-up jerseys, as they're happening there, and you're probably also seeing them in the team stores and everything like that. I think it would be a lot different in person, but at least to most fans watching it on TV, the main reason that they actually found out about the jerseys was most likely social media. So kind of in that aspect, it is, not really that big of a deal in a way. However, that's the only way that I can look at this in a positive light. I don't think that this was a good decision by the NHL. A lot of those jerseys help people feel included, and also they were auctioned off to help charities as well. I mean, you just have to look as far as the Hockey Fight Cancer jerseys. Nobody's for cancer. Everybody is against cancer, but now that takes a hit, right? Because you're not going to raise as much money this year as you did previously. You don't have those game-worn or at least warm-up worn jerseys anymore. Yes, I do think they're still going to have like maybe warm-up issue jerseys, or at least the Made in Canada jerseys with player signatures and everything like that, and they'll still auction those off, but I highly doubt that they'll raise as much money as the warm-up worn jerseys because they're not worn. I don't think you need to be a jersey collector to know that the jerseys worn by the players are going to sell for a lot more than the jerseys that aren't. Even if they are signed, and even if they are, team issued and everything like that, they're just not going to sell as much, which is really unfortunate. It sucks for those charities quite a bit. And on top of that, teams would usually have local artists, or at least artists from the community, designing those jerseys as well. And when they tweeted out the pictures of this specialty jersey, they would tag the artist, and that would give them some promotion, give them some exposure, and maybe have new people follow them them and get interested in their art, which was awesome. My concern now, though, is with them kind of pushing these jerseys off to the side. How often is that really going to happen? I hope I'm just being a downer here and teams still embrace that aspect. They still make new jerseys here and they still promote these local artists making these jerseys and everything like that. I really hope that's the case, but I just have a hard time seeing it, to be honest. And if these jerseys do end up auctioning off for less, I really hope that teams try and find some other way to kind of raise more funds for the charities, whether that's auctioning off, some more sticks, gloves, pucks, whatever it may be, or just donate themselves. That would be pretty cool. Don't really think that's going to happen though. But yeah, I hope that they don't leave it the exact same and don't change anything, because at least I really do think that they're going to be auctioned off for a lot less than the previous jerseys were. Now, if I do want to be a little bit selfish here, a positive in those maybe not selling for as much is maybe now I'll actually be able to afford some of those jerseys, because man, some of these specialty jerseys are so cool, man. I absolutely love them. You have like the Lunar New Year jerseys from the Flames and the Canucks. You have, the Black History Month jerseys from a lot of different teams. You have the Pride Night jerseys. You have the Indigenous Night jerseys from the Leafs. Like, there are so many different cool jerseys. I'll throw them up on screen here so you guys can take a look at them. I absolutely love them. They are so awesome. There's not really any striping or anything like that on most of these jerseys because they use the exact same format. The only thing that's really changing is the crest and the shoulder logos, but even just with those being the changes, they are out of this world. So cool. I really do love these specialty jerseys. It just really sucks that they're gone, at least for the most part. And what I mean by that is I can't really see too many teams continuously making all of these specialty night jerseys. I think this year there'll still be plenty of them, but as the years go on, if this rule is still in place, I think the amount of them will definitely go down quite a bit. And I think it'll reach a certain point where the only specialty night jerseys that we have are the mandatory ones, or at least were the mandatory ones. I don't know if they are anymore, but those being the Military Appreciation Night jerseys, the Hockey Fight Cancer jerseys, and also, this has always been a strange one for me, but the St. Patty Days jerseys, those are also, or at least were mandatory for the NHL, which was always strange. But yeah, without the warm-up aspect to these jerseys, I would not be surprised if a lot of them went away. I hope I'm being pessimistic here. I hope this isn't the case, but it's just kind of how I feel, to be honest. This is the opposite way that I wanted the NHL to go with these specialty jerseys. It's kind of funny because during the regular season and this offseason as well, I thought about making a video talking about the specialty night jerseys and how the NHL needs to embrace them more and maybe even have a team wear one for an entire game. I know it's one thing a lot of Leaf fans talked about during the Indigenous Night that the Leafs had this year. A lot of fans on Twitter absolutely love that jersey, and a lot of fans really wanted the team to wear that at least for one entire game, and I was completely on board with that, but I knew that the NHL wouldn't do it at that point, so it's something that I wanted to talk about. But of course, they have now gone in the complete opposite direction, a complete 180 from that, so that's definitely not going to happen anymore. And it's just unfortunate because if you take a look at the minor leagues, like the AHL or the ECHL, they wear their specialty night jerseys for the entire night, which I think is super cool. Now, that being said, they do have like the Star Wars night and the SpongeBob night and like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle night, which even though I do love those jerseys, they are absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think the NHL should do those whatsoever. Like, that's not something that I'm asking the NHL to do, but I do think that the NHL should have had like an Indigenous Night jersey that they wore for the entire night, or like a Pride Night jersey, or, a Black History Month jersey, whatever it may be. Like, why not wear those jerseys for an entire game? What's the downside to that? I think it would be very cool. Like, if I'm trying to think of some reasons on why you want to do that, let's say it's because there's too many nights and you don't want to have so many specialty night jerseys where you wear them for the entire game. Well, at that point, just limit how many times that you do that during a season. Let's say 3 to 5 on the high end. I would say that 5 is quite a bit of specialty night jerseys, but let's say you do 5 a season, right? Well, you still have 41 home games, so that leaves you with 36 home games where you're still wearing your regular home jerseys. I think that's fine. And maybe you'd say that it gets a little bit too confusing for some casual fans. I think as long as it's done properly, you advertise it correctly, you implement it into the broadcast as well, I really think that it would work because it's basically just like a third jersey at that point. Take a look at the Buffalo Sabres, for example. Their third jersey is completely different than their home and away. Has a different color scheme, has different striping, has a different shoulder patches, has a different main logo as well. It is completely different, but it still works, right? So I really think that as long as you don't do it a ton with these specialty jerseys and you keep it relatively on brand, I really don't think that it would be too much of a confusion. I really think that they would work for a full game, but obviously that's not going to happen at this point. They have completely gone in the opposite direction, which is very unfortunate. I'm just really hoping at this point that the NHL makes these jerseys a little bit more available, and also I hope that they improve these jerseys a little bit as well. Basically, I hope that they add some striping onto these jerseys because the way that they had them before, it was just a practice jersey with a different logo and shoulder patches, which those were amazing, like I've said before. Like, I absolutely love those aspects of the jersey, but there was never really any striping. So the fact that they're no longer warm-up jerseys, they're no longer those practice jerseys, maybe they could implement some actual striping into it and kind of experiment a little bit more in that aspect. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, the reason that I want them to make these a little bit more available is because previously they only sold the warm-up worn jerseys, and those would be auctioned off for like over $1,000 Canadian, way out of my budget. I definitely could not afford them. The only team that I saw made them available to fans was the Vancouver Canucks, but those were still the made in Canada jerseys, and they were selling for like $750 Canadian, which I still was not able to buy. That's still way too much for myself. I basically want them to do what they're already doing with the Military Appreciation Night and the Hockey Fights Cancer and the St. Patty Day jerseys, where there's a retail level version of those jerseys that you can buy on the NHL shop, you know, the Adidas made in Indonesia jerseys. I think that would be a lot of fun. I would really like to see that, you know, especially now, because since they're no longer warm-up jerseys, at this point they're kind of fashion jerseys, right? Like, you know, the players themselves aren't wearing the jerseys, so they're kind of like the, you know, black ice Reebok jerseys that they used to make back in the day, or the starter where they had like the different colors for the jerseys. You know, those were all fashion jerseys where they were produced by the NHL, but, you know, the players didn't wear them themselves. So if the players aren't wearing them during warm-ups, that means that they aren't wearing them at all. So at least in my opinion, I would say that falls into the fashion jersey kind of category there. But yeah, I would really like to see these jerseys released at a retail level, although I don't know how well the other fashion jerseys sold at a retail level, so I'm not really quite too sure if they would actually end up doing that. Just at this point though, if they do continue to make these jerseys, like Gary Bettman said in his interview, but not wear them during the warm-ups, I could see them trying this out for a couple of years, the jerseys not really selling a whole lot, and them just removing the jerseys altogether at a certain point in time. I could definitely see that happening. I would be a little bit shocked if they removed the nights altogether though. I don't think that they're going to go in that direction. I think that they will still have those like specialty nights and everything like that, but I could really see these jerseys just not really lasting a whole long if the players are not actually wearing them. But yeah, that's it for me. I just wanted to give you guys my quick thoughts on the news here. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below, and if you guys liked the video, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, and my TikTok. Links are all in the description down below. Like I said though, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.